Hello from here at a sun-drenched home park where now all the fans have left the pitch. Pretty much everybody's left the stadium. Hull City beaten here by 1-0, which ends Hull City's hopes of securing a place in the playoffs and also keeps Plymouth Argyle in the Championship. Birmingham have been relegated. Ipswich have been promoted, so congratulations to Ipswich. Congratulations to Plymouth. This proved a step too far for Hull City, who conceded a goal just before half-time. Captain Joe Edwards heading in at the back post to give Plymouth what I would say was a deserved lead. And I don't think there was, just under 17,000 here. It was packed out, packed Hull City away end of 1,706. I don't think anybody here, if I'm honest, could argue that the home side weren't full value for their 1-0 victory. They started the game on the front foot. The crowd were vibrant, which is rare anywhere for a kick-off at 12:30 in the afternoon, if I'm honest. Normally they're quite sleepy. And City were disjointed. They just never got going in the game. It was a flat performance. They were sloppy on the ball. They were off it without. They gave up a lot of opportunities. They gave up a lot of opportunities down both flanks. And probably the biggest surprise, if I'm brutally honest, was that Plymouth took 40 minutes to score a goal. I think they created some really good chances. Ryan Alsop made a great save from Morgan Whittaker, who was a constant threat all day. While I'm on the subject of Morgan Whittaker, a real shame, by the way, that he just spends so much of his time, Morgan Whittaker, diving. At least 3 times he dived in the penalty area, trying to win penalties, and each one was a dive. He didn't get anything. For a player of his talent, it's a real shame to see him so keen to flop on the deck. But anyway, Ryan Alsop made a great save from him. He was a threat all afternoon, and City just went at it. It was one of those away games, one of those games where, a bit like for those that were unfortunate enough to be at QPR before Christmas, you knew 5 minutes in that City were off it, that they were sloppy, and that was kind of a similar performance to today. Really, they just never got going. Plymouth, second half they were a bit better, but they were restricted really to a couple of distance efforts. Jayden Philogene rocketed one at the goalkeeper Cooper, and he batted it away. But that was, when City attacked, you basically got a line of like 6-7 players on the edge of the 18-yard line in green shirts, and they made it very difficult to play against, very difficult to defend against, and they just couldn't get through. There were a couple of nearly moments, but in truth, look, it just wasn't meant to be. West Brom winning 3-0 at home to Preston, it rendered the result here from Hull City's point of view completely pointless in the end, but it would have been nice to have at least ended with a 12th away win to end on 73 points. More importantly than that, to give 1,706 away fans, that some of which left at 2 o'clock in the morning from the MKM Stadium, something to cheer, and they had all afternoon they had nothing to cheer, in fairness. So we had Teletubbies, we had Sharks, we had Dolphins, Whales, Teletubbies, God knows what else in the fancy dress, and they kept going all afternoon, and they applauded their team off, even after the pitch invasion of the Plymouth fans at the end of the game. The City fans stayed in their seats, and they cheered their team. They City Till I Die, and all those songs were out, and I think that was a reflection of what's been a good season. They finished 7th. I think if you'd have offered most supporters at the start of, before we kicked off at Carrow Road at the start of the season, I think if you'd have offered City fans 7th, they probably would have taken it. But as the season plays on, the players that you signed, Jayden Philogene, Tyler Morton, obviously in January Fabio Carvalho, Zaroury, who for me he's not. Zaroury's been one of the players that probably hasn't lived up to it, but Ohio, they've signed some great players this season, and I think the overriding feeling is that with that group of players, with that, I think we'll look back in 2 or 3 years' time and you think of Alfie Jones and Greaves centre halves, Mika Seri in midfield with Tyler Morton, Liam Delap through the middle, Carvalho, Jayden Philogene, Abdouche, Ozan Tufan. I think there'll be an overriding feeling that with those players, this team probably should have achieved a little bit more. They should have got into the playoffs. And look, we can all point back to games this season, can't we? The Plymouth game at home, way back early in the season, Coventry at home, Watford at home, lost that game, should never have lost that game. Sunderland just on Boxing Day, should never have lost that game. Birmingham, Swansea, there were so many games, particularly at home, that you look back and you think, if we'd have claimed a point here or claimed a point there, every team has them, of course they do. Every team has their ifs and buts over a 46-game season. But I think with this group of players, I think Liam and the players and the staff will get back on the bus and head to Exeter Airport to get their flight back to Humberside Airport, and they will feel disappointed. They will feel that this is a chance that has come and gone, and it's passed them by. And emotions are going to be raw. The disappointment, the reality of missing out is going to dawn on them. Has dawned on them. There were tears in the dressing room at full time, because that's it. The season is now over, and for a lot of those players, the 6 loan players, they will go back to their parent clubs, and there's obviously players out of contract that, it doesn't take a rocket scientist to expect that some of them will move on, and there will be speculation about Philogene, about Jacob Greaves. Naturally, they're top championship players, and Hull City are a championship club that have to cut their cloth accordingly. And if they want to challenge next season, there's a realistic expectation that they will have to sell somebody to be able to reinvest that, and that isn't something we've talked about a lot. We shouldn't shy away from it. It is part and parcel of being a club in the Championship that hasn't got the benefit of parachute payments. Look, that's all talk for next week and for the weeks between now and when the season kicks off again in early August. But I think it is a situation that is tinged with an element of disappointment, as I say, because this group of players is such a talented group, an exciting group, and there have been. We can all look back at the negatives. We've just touched on some games there where they've missed out and they've dropped points, but there've also been some memories that we've made this season. And that, this is a team that 12 months ago we were sat at Luton, having finished 15th in the table. They were going into the playoffs, hoping that we would enjoy a season. And this has been this has been a great, in some respects, a really good season. We've played some great football, some magic memories. Beating Southampton away, winning away at Leicester, thumping Sheffield Wednesday, drawing with Leeds, although I'm still having nightmares with Adama Traore's effort at the post 5 minutes from time. The win at Southampton, the game against Leicester, the game against Ipswich last weekend was phenomenal. For those that were at Rotherham, seeing Jayden Philogene's Rabona, that was a magical moment. The away fans at Huddersfield, having led for so long and then conceding in the 90th minute, and then Greavesy goes up the other end and heads in the net. For those that were in that away end, they'll never forget that, and they're memories that last a lifetime. And ultimately, Hull City are a club on the up. I think that is worth remembering, that we are going in the right direction. You've only got to see the crowd against Ipswich, 24,500 there last weekend. That is the positivity within the fan base. That needs to be harnessed. We need to keep that and use that as power going into the new season, because there's going to be 23 other clubs next season all battling to try and get promoted, but City have to learn from the errors, the mistakes, and there have been many of them. They have to learn from those mistakes over the course of the summer, so when they come back in pre-season at the end of June, at the start of July, ready for Turkey in pre-season, they have to take all these negative feelings, all the mistakes that they've made, the manager, the coaching staff, and the players, of course, as well. They have to take all that and use that as inspiration going into next season, because they know what it feels like now. They know what it feels like to go so close, and finishing 7th is almost like losing in the semi-final at Wembley. It's tough. It's tough to take. You've had a good season, but you've not been quite good enough. And at the end of it, said and done, they've been the 7th best team in the Championship, and that, from where they were last year, is huge progress. But I think the overriding feeling from Ajourn down to Liam, to the players, to the fans, it will be of what might have been. This was an opportunity. They had an opportunity in a really tough Championship season, admittedly, but they had an opportunity, and it's one they've allowed to pass them by. They've not been outplayed. I still think the only game for 90 minutes they were outplayed was away at Portman Road, and they got thumped 3-0. There have been moments in other games. Norwich on the opening day, they could have been 5-0 down at half time, but they weren't. As I say, there've been moments in other games this season where they've been outplayed, or they've not been great, but they haven't been battered like they were at Ipswich at all. And I think that is the frustrating thing. There's been moments within games they've just not grasped. Watford, if you look just 2 weeks ago away at Watford, after 10 minutes you get a penalty. If that penalty goes in, they probably go and win that game. And I think there have been so many of those nearlies that will stick in the throat, and it is what it is ultimately. To coin a phrase that Billy Davies used to say all the time, they have to recover now and they have to go again. And as I said before, it remains to be seen what happens over the next few weeks. I expect there'll be change, plenty of change. There always is at the end of the season. Players come, players go, staff come, staff go. What will happen will come out in the wash over time, and that is it. Credit to the fans that were here. Another terrific gesture from the owner, who paid for every member of the travelling fans here to have a £6 meal voucher that's costing more than £10,000. So credit to him for doing that. And as I say, the fans are brilliant here today, and that is one hell of a long journey back up to East Yorkshire. But look, this has been a transformational season for Hull City. They've got themselves back. They were a club respected on the national stage, with Premier League clubs letting their players come here on loan. The way they've gone about it, the football they've played at times has been superb. Yeah, the manager's made one or two comments. I can't see the comments really because of how sunny it is. I apologise, but lots of comments about Liam and his tactics and his style, and letting the handbrake off and things like that. That is something that he as a manager, he's going to have to reflect on, and I think he will. He will look back at what he's done, what the team have done, and he will have to learn from that. And some of these players are young players; they're going to have to learn from it and learn how it feels to have lost today and to have lost out on the playoffs. So, look, that's it from Home Park. If you're travelling back, safe journey. Just a couple of points. If you want to get in touch with the podcast at the 1904 Club, we'll have an episode looking back on this game over the next couple of days, so keep an eye out for that. We've also got the live event at the New Walton Club on Tuesday night. Tan's going to be there, Burnsy Prutz is going to be there, myself, James Fletcher, David Myler's going to be there as well, and we might have one or two other special guests that we'll confirm hopefully in the hours before. So you can get your tickets at Eventbrite. There's plenty of stuff. Just Google the 1904 Club Live. And that's it. So that's all for me here in Plymouth. Thank you so much for getting involved all season. Thanks so much for watching, for reading all our stuff. It ain't going to stop. It'll carry on in the summer. So, yeah, that's it. And thank you for watching, everybody. Take care, and we'll see you again soon.